Alright y'all, welcome back to Final Boss Auto Hub, and we back with some interesting developments and just to have a real good conversation, right? So the auto industry is kind of on fire recently, especially over these last 2 weeks with actual news and new developments coming and what these brands are thinking. And it's been on fire, so you're going to be seeing a lot of me over these next week or two, all right? Because I'm getting to all of these news. Let's get into it. How many of you know about the Mitsubishi Lancer and the Evo and what it represents in the car community? You have to be kind of an OG gearhead or a historian to know what the Lancer represents, right? But let's get right into it. The Lancer pretty much left the US market in 2016, right? It's been discontinued. They went out with a bang, releasing like an ultimate Evo X Mitsubishi Lancer, which, you know, the OG gearheads went out and got that car because they know what the car represents. And it's been a decade since a new potential successor is pretty much released, right? In a recent interview at the Japan Mobility Show, some of the Mitsubishi executives, especially one of the most senior executive who kind of helped create the all-wheel drive system that the Evo used, by the name of Kaoru Sawase. Mr. Sawase, if I am butchering your name, my fault. I didn't mean to do that, with all due respect. But I just needed to mention your name, right? He pretty much said, in quote, "We have a dream, of course, for the Lancer Evolution is my personal dream," end quote. So essentially, he's indicating that Mitsubishi is probably talking about bringing back a successor of the Lancer and the Evo brand back to the auto markets, right? He pretty much stopped short of confirming that that's what they're actually doing and that one is in development. But his comments does pretty much indicate that the idea is very much still alive in Mitsubishi, and people are pretty much talking about it and what it will mean and how would it affect their brand if they was to bring it back. And he did say, in quote, electrification, which possibly would be used in some sort of form of way, right? For now, though, we pretty much have to see whether the Evo name makes its, return back to the auto market and if Mitsubishi actually acts on it. Let's cut the lights on, my opinion, right? I honestly think this is a perfect time for the Evo to make a return. Like, in this day and age, enthusiasts are not into pure EV cars. They're just not. They're just not. And believe it or not, many people are not buying EV cars like how they like to pretty much preach, like EVs being sold everywhere and everybody know. EVs are not doing the greatest. I think it's still in the niche market. You got the folks with the Lucids, the Teslas. They're out there. People purchase them. But they're not being purchased in the bulk like how ICE engines are being purchased, or even hybrids are being purchased. You feel what I'm saying? For the most part. And you're seeing like many car brands pretty much discontinue models that are purely EV, or just models that are ICE that are just lacking the performance which people ultimately want, and they're not buying. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, right, you're probably saying now, Final Boss, like, the Evo was a 4-cylinder. What car? Like, it was a 4-cylinder car. What kind of performance you was talking about? If you know anything about the Evo, although it was a 4-cylinder, that car packed a hell of a punch. Crazy big turbo on those cars, damn near came stock. The factory can tune it, and you get something super quick coming out of the factory. Or, as most enthusiasts like ourselves, we'll get the car and go crazy with the tune or put a bigger turbo. But normally the turbos are so good, you didn't really have to do that. But if you did, you just wanted way more power than the stock turbo, right? And those cars were super quick. They were super quick. Like, they were fast. And back in the day, like, if you was around on the car scene, you ultimately knew the rivalry between the Lancer Evolution and the Impreza WRX, right? Those are basically two rally cars pitted against each other for years. They have decades of history going against each other, especially in the rally car competitions. And they were both serious, quick cars. And then you got the street enthusiasts, they'll get the Evos, and then you got the Imprezas, WRX, and they will go at it, race, or just whatever is the case. They were both compact, sport, 4-door sedan cars. Super fast, quick, Not really known for its linear speed, but it was known for its quickness and like superior like handling and suspension capabilities, right? Don't get me wrong though. I came across a few of those that was just fast as fast, and there was nothing you can do about it, right? There's nothing you can do about it. You on a highway thinking you playing traffic tag and you cutting up, and next thing you know, this thing is hit a straight line and is out of there. Couldn't do nothing about it, you know? So with that being said, right, I feel like if Mitsubishi wants to make a serious comeback and pretty much bring this car back out, they have to, create some serious competition for it, and which this can ultimately save their brand. When I say create competition, I mean bring back something with the nameplate that's nostalgic for older gearheads like myself, or people from my generation, because I'm not old yet. So people from my generation who remember those cars will be interested. And then it's so refreshing that the newer young gearheads will see it and might want to go, pretty much got that car for the most part. And you bring it back to the market. What that would do now is Subaru will see that, most likely. And any other car that's in that compact performance market will pretty much see it and possibly start creating new renditions of those vehicles. Now you're creating a market that has supply and demand and competition, because Subaru is going to start bringing back the WRXs, the Ford Focus RSs are probably going to come back out. Then you have the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, and you're just creating competition where you can ultimately boost the sales of that vehicle being sold because it's new and nostalgic at the same time, while everybody else is creating competition to get back into that market, right? So I think if Mitsubishi is really smart enough, they can really pull something off like this and really do that and bring something that's nostalgic and refresh back to the market that would, pretty much cause people to be like, you know what, I might go cop this car. And then Subaru might be like, you know what, I need to bring back the WRX. And Ford is bringing back the RSs and things of that nature. And I think, that will ramp up the sales and ultimately save Mitsubishi. And we go from there. Not to change gears, if you notice the trend in the auto market, the brands are going back performance oriented slowly but surely. People want cars that perform, that are reliable and that perform, especially in this day and market when you're spending on average $50,000 for a basic car. If I'm spending 50, I need that mug to perform. Like it has to be fast as hell. There's no way I'm paying $50,000 for a car that barely has 200 horsepower and no, it needs to be fast. It needs to sound good. It needs to drive well. It needs to be quick. It needs to be reliable. It needs to look good. That's a lot of money. 50 grand is not chump change. That's a lot of money for most folks, So I think, as you can see, the auto world is going back into that performance market. People are starting to ban against the EU about trying to eradicate ICE engines. Like, things are going back a little bit, especially with this economy. This economy is not the greatest, right? So I think, Mitsubishi should definitely look into that. Going back to the engines, I probably glazed over this, going back to the engines, right? I know he said something about electrification. If Mitsubishi is smart, if you're not gonna bring out a pure turbo car, make sure it's hybrid. Don't make it purely EV. Bring out a 4-cylinder hybrid model that sounds good, but the hybrid engine makes it fast as hell, 400 horsepower, something like that. Bring out something like that and you would do well. If you go to pure EV, you're not selling. I guarantee you that.
That's a brand name. I stand behind it. I guarantee.
You're just wasting money. But that's my opinion. As for always, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope this video catches you and your family in this holiday season. Happy Turkey Day. And, come back. As you can see, I've been pretty much on the market, or on the mark, I should say, not the market, but on the mark about where the auto industry is pretty much going. And I've been pretty much right. So, come back, pull up, get a seat, listen to these 5 to 10 minute videos, comment, subscribe, like, and just let me know what you guys think. All right? Final Boss out.